Blake and Ryan has fled the country while Justin and Emily are taking over all the headlines and getting support from Hollywood.
Apparently, insiders are revealing that there's a code word that was used by Justin in the video that was speaking directly to Taylor Swift in order to make Blake Lively upset.
Okay, so listen. Blake Lively has reportedly left the country, and this comes just days after reports surfaced claiming that Taylor Swift had been communicating with Justin Baldoni as well. According to those reports, the two allegedly exchanged private shorthand and discussed how certain phrases had been used in connection with the controversy. These conversations reportedly began sometime between February and April, around the same period when fans noticed Taylor had unfollowed Blake on Instagram. At first, many assumed the unfollow was simply another celebrity friendship falling apart, but the latest claims suggest there may have been far more happening behind the scenes. Sources have alleged that Taylor, or someone from her team, reached out to Justin and Emily to apologize as more text messages, evidence, and details surrounding the controversy were expected to become public. If true, Taylor may have been trying to distance herself from the situation before becoming even more closely connected to it. Reports further claim that Justin accepted the apology, particularly after everything he and Emily had already endured. After months of dealing with a highly publicized legal battle, it would make sense that everyone involved would approach sensitive conversations much more cautiously and keep records of important communications. But perhaps the most intriguing detail is the alleged private shorthand between Taylor and Justin whenever the controversy came up, a detail that, if independently confirmed, could add another unexpected layer to this already complicated Hollywood drama.
Taylor, I hope to God you do something, just subtly, even if you have to do it subtly, but show your support of Justin over Blake. It would be tremendous for you, and I think it would make a lot of people happier to support you, and I hope she does.
Now, if you've watched Justin's recent video, you may have noticed him talking about trusting your intuition and listening to your gut when something doesn't feel right. Interestingly, many people connected that message to Taylor Swift, who has also spoken publicly over the years about trusting her instincts during interviews and award speeches. Whether that connection is intentional or simply a coincidence is impossible to know, but some viewers believe the phrase may have become a subtle reference to what both of them had experienced. According to these reports, Blake allegedly became aware of the communication as well, and if that is true, it's easy to understand why people believe the situation could have felt deeply painful for her. From Blake's perspective, this wouldn't simply be about another celebrity friendship ending. It would involve someone she had been closely associated with allegedly creating a line of communication with the very person she had spent months publicly opposing. That could feel like a much deeper form of betrayal. Many people believe Blake never expected Taylor to distance herself from the situation or choose separation over loyalty. But here's what makes the alleged conversations particularly interesting. Experts who study interpersonal conflict often note that people who believe they have experienced similar behavior can eventually compare their experiences and begin recognizing patterns they may not have noticed before. That's why some observers believe the reported conversations between Taylor and Justin could be significant. If two people independently reach similar conclusions about their experiences, they may naturally start asking the same questions, and sometimes it's only after a relationship or situation falls apart that people finally recognize patterns that had been there all along.
Whatever they're accusing them of, they're guilty of themselves, and that is the case here themselves, and here is the proof of that. They reached out to influential people and content creators to get them to talk favorably about Blake Lively.
Taylor eventually appeared to reach a point where, according to these reports, continuing the friendship was no longer worth the personal or professional cost. In Hollywood, protecting your reputation can sometimes mean creating distance from situations that continue generating controversy, and if these reports are accurate, many people believe that's exactly what Taylor decided to do. But while that alleged friendship fallout was unfolding, another story was getting just as much attention: the much-discussed Canada trip involving Ryan and Blake. Just days before Justin Baldoni's video was released, Ryan and Blake were reportedly spotted together in Canada, where they had lunch, went shopping, and posed for what appeared to be a picture-perfect celebrity outing. On the surface, everything looked completely normal. But what caught people's attention wasn't the lunch itself, it was the people surrounding them. Reports claimed that 2 assistants accompanied the couple throughout the outing, leading some observers to question why such a casual day together appeared to involve so much coordination. Instead of looking like a spontaneous date, critics argued that the outing felt more like a carefully managed public appearance. Then the paparazzi photos appeared, and they only fueled the conversation. Rather than seeing the relaxed Hollywood couple fans were accustomed to, some viewers claimed Ryan and Blake looked tired and uncomfortable, as though they were trying hard to project happiness for the cameras. Of course, photographs can never tell us exactly what someone is feeling, but that didn't stop social media from running with the story. Some people even joked that nobody wanted to spend time with a couple unless they were being paid, while others speculated that the assistants were there to help keep the entire appearance organized. And then came the bigger theory. Some observers believe the Canada trip may have been strategically timed because Ryan and Blake allegedly knew Justin Baldoni's video was coming and wanted to create a more positive public image before another wave of attention hit. Whether that theory has any basis in reality remains unclear, but the timing certainly became part of the online discussion. Instead of ending the speculation, the outing appeared to generate even more questions. Around the same period, reports also circulated about the closure of an aviation gin visitor center in Portland, Oregon, after several years of operation, prompting further discussion about the couple's business ventures and public image. Some critics began arguing that brands could become increasingly cautious about associating themselves with celebrities surrounded by controversy, while others pointed out that business closures don't automatically prove a connection to any celebrity scandal. Either way, the Canada trip became another example of how even an ordinary public appearance can become a major source of speculation when the people involved are already at the center of intense public scrutiny.
Ryan's acting career is really on decline, and Hollywood is refusing to work with him at the moment. And it seems like it's not only his acting career that's going down the toilet, his gin is too.
Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. According to a theory circulating online, Ryan and Blake may already be preparing for their next move, and if that theory is true, the focus may no longer be Justin Baldoni. It could potentially shift toward Taylor Swift. Reports have claimed that Ryan and Blake were not invited to Taylor's wedding, and some observers believe that decision may have created additional tension behind the scenes. From there, speculation began circulating that negative stories about the wedding were suddenly appearing for a reason. To be clear, that's an online theory, not an established fact, but the timing is what caught people's attention. Almost overnight, social media discussions began focusing on alleged problems with the event, including claims about long food lines, seating arrangements, and even the availability of champagne. Small details were suddenly being presented as evidence that the wedding had been poorly organized. Yet some people who claimed to have attended described the event very differently, saying it was carefully planned and well executed. That contrast naturally raised questions about why such different versions of the same event were circulating at the same time. And that's where the comparison to Justin Baldoni enters the conversation. Critics of the theory argue that Justin's reputation became a major part of the public narrative surrounding his controversy, while supporters of the theory wonder whether Taylor could potentially face a similar situation if negative stories continue gaining traction. But Taylor is hardly unfamiliar with intense media scrutiny. She has spent decades navigating public controversies, hostile headlines, celebrity feuds, and narratives that can change almost overnight. So if she believed someone was attempting to shape a misleading story about her, many people think she would recognize the warning signs quickly. That's also why the alleged conversations between Taylor and Justin have attracted so much attention. If Taylor really did reach out to him, perhaps the purpose wasn't simply to apologize or distance herself from the controversy. Maybe she wanted to understand what had happened from someone who had already experienced the other side of it. And if that's true, the situation becomes much more complicated, because once you've seen how a particular narrative can unfold, you're far less likely to be caught completely off guard the next time you recognize similar warning signs.
I think Taylor's done with you, Blake. I think she's the one who left the friendship. It wasn't you, Blake, who left the friendship. I do believe that her dad, Taylor Swift's dad, was the one who sort of probably came to Justin and was like, I'll give you this. I'll tell you this drama that's going to blow it up and make it clear that Taylor and Blake are divided.
According to Bethany Frankel, Blake Lively's team reached out to her seeking support during the controversy, hoping that public figures would speak up on Blake's behalf, regardless of whether they personally agreed with her. However, Bethany chose to speak publicly about the experience rather than simply go along with the request. Her comments quickly became another major talking point, especially because she described an attitude that many viewers felt echoed other stories and perceptions surrounding Blake over the years.
I just said, this is an effed up situation, but this person was like, she wants to know why you don't like her. And I'm like, I don't know anything about her. Anyway, it was a crazy, crazy energy.
When you put all these stories together, it becomes easier to understand why Taylor may have chosen to keep her distance. From this perspective, it isn't about one isolated controversy. It's about a pattern that people believe they're beginning to notice. If similar allegations and stories continue to surface, the public may naturally start comparing them instead of viewing each situation as completely separate. That's what makes Taylor's reported distance so significant. Rather than simply following popularity or public pressure, she appears to be making her own judgment based on what she has seen and heard. And if she has already communicated with Justin Baldoni and understands a side of the story, she may be far less likely to walk into another public dispute unprepared. But perhaps the biggest irony is what happened to Justin's public image. After months of lawsuits, headlines, and intense criticism, many assumed the controversy had permanently damaged his reputation. Yet his recent content with Emily Baldoni has received a noticeable wave of support, while Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively continue facing questions about how they can rebuild their careers and public goodwill. Whether that shift lasts remains to be seen, but the contrast is certainly hard to ignore.
Blake watched every second of the video, and she was absolutely furious, an insider tells him. She believes Justin is trying to rewrite history and recast himself as the victim.
That's the contrast people keep pointing to. Justin posts a video, and the response is often filled with encouragement, supportive comments, and people sharing his content widely. Meanwhile, Ryan and Blake have taken a noticeably different approach to social media, with limited comments and more restricted engagement. The difference between the two situations is hard for people to ignore. What also stands out is how Justin reportedly handled the controversy behind the scenes. According to multiple reports, he encouraged some of his Hollywood friends to remain quiet while everything was unfolding, not because he didn't value their support, but because he allegedly didn't want them becoming targets themselves. Whether or not people agree with every decision he made, that detail continues to resonate with many fans because, from their perspective, Justin was trying to protect the people around him while dealing with enormous pressure of his own.
Ryan Reynolds is enraged. He thinks Justin is reopening wounds that everyone worked incredibly hard to close. He doesn't understand why anyone would want to drag this back into the spotlight.
According to leaked messages circulating online, Emily Baldoni reportedly refused to let Justin sign a statement that would have placed the responsibility for the difficult it ends with us press tour on himself. If that account is accurate, it becomes a significant detail because it suggests Emily was unwilling to let her husband take the blame simply to make the situation easier for everyone else. And when people watch Justin and Emily together, many describe something that can be difficult to manufacture in Hollywood, a sense of authenticity. Their recent video didn't appear to depend on polished marketing campaigns or staged paparazzi moments. Instead, it presented the two of them sharing their perspective directly. As Justin's public support grew, former colleagues, friends, and people who had worked with him also began sharing positive experiences, gradually presenting a different picture from the one many viewers had initially seen. At the same time, another story involving Bethany Frankel continued attracting attention. According to Bethany, someone connected to Blake Lively's team contacted her multiple times before Christmas, reportedly trying to understand why so many people disliked Blake and whether Bethany would be willing to publicly defend her.
The same person from Blake's team called me multiple times because they wanted to plead their case and wanted me to kind of, talk about that to my audience.
Now, let's talk about the wedding snub that many people believe marked a major turning point in Blake Lively and Taylor Swift's friendship. Taylor's wedding was expected to be one of those rare celebrity events where virtually every major name in entertainment would be watching the guest list. Actors, musicians, producers, and other high-profile figures were reportedly gathering from around the world, and as photos and reports began circulating, the guest list itself became part of the story. But then people noticed someone who appeared to be missing, Blake Lively. That immediately caught attention because Blake and Taylor had spent years presenting one of Hollywood's most visible celebrity friendships. Taylor had referenced Blake's children publicly, while Blake had openly celebrated Taylor on important occasions, making their friendship feel like more than a private connection. So when Blake's name didn't appear alongside the reported guests, the conversation quickly shifted from who was attending to why she wasn't there. Adding even more fuel to the speculation, Blake and Ryan Reynolds were reportedly spotted in New York that same weekend attending a horse show involving their daughter. Of course, there is nothing unusual about parents showing up for their child, but given how close Blake and Taylor had appeared to be over the years, many people found the timing striking. Reports also claimed that Blake was disappointed by the situation and hoped their relationship could eventually be repaired. Whether every detail of those reports is accurate remains unclear, but the absence itself became a major talking point, with many people interpreting the guest list as a possible sign that something much deeper had changed between the two longtime friends.